Hey, what's going on, guys? Andrew with Anti-Tactical. We had a bad rainstorm that came through last night, and it's been continuing all day long, producing high winds. We had a couple of down limbs in the back, producing a lot of flooding in the area. So I took some time to come out and clean up the yard a little bit, and now I'm going to do a little bit of maintenance to the lawnmower. The importance of what I'm about to explain is often overlooked by a lot of people. We mow often because mowing is what's going to produce the best look on a lawn. A well-cut lawn is going to fight off disease better. It's going to look visually better. It's going to retain water better. But something a lot of people will not do is replace or sharpen their mower blade. Now, when a mower blade becomes dull and it cuts the grass, it's going to tear it rather than give it a nice clean cut across the top. Now, when this happens, the grass is going to appear brown towards the tips because it's injured, and it's stressed. So a nice clean cut is going to do the least amount of stress to the grass plant and actually encourage it to grow thicker and healthier. So I recommend doing this twice a year. I do it once in the spring and again in the fall. If I notice my blade starts cutting a little uneven, or if I look down at the grass and I see any tearing of the leaf blade itself, I will then go ahead and sharpen it. Now, if your blade is bent or it's cracked or it has giant gouges, definitely replace it. Do not try to unbend it. Do not try to sharpen it when it has those nicks in it. Just replace it. You can get a blade for about 20 bucks. It's an easy, cheap purchase. It's easy to change out, and it will help with the overall health of your turf. It's super simple. We're going to go over the step-by-step directions of how to do this today. I definitely recommend having a second mower blade on hand, one that you can have sharpened, and then you can quickly change it out for the old one in a pinch. Now, I am strictly talking about rotary mowers. Real mower owners typically send their reels out to be sharpened by a professional, but if you have a rotary mower, then this is super simple to do, and it'll help you out in the long run. It'll make your lawn look a lot better, a lot more healthy. The leaf blade of the grass plant is what's responsible for majority of the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process in which the grass plant will absorb energy from the sun using water down below, carbon dioxide in the air, and it converts all of that energy into a sugar called glucose. That glucose sugar is then used in the plant for growth. So if we disrupt this process, we are discouraging growth and we are hurting the plant. We are stressing it out and it can't grow and it can't feed itself the way it typically would. So it's really important that we give the lawn a nice clean cut, doing as least amount of stress to the plant as possible. And in turn, your grass will appear healthier, it'll grow better, it'll grow thicker, it'll grow more evenly, it'll appear visually better. Overall, the lawn will just be a lot more healthy. Let's take a look at the lawnmower we have down here today. So I'm going to be demonstrating this process on the Toro Super Recycler. You always want to make sure the very first thing you do is remove the spark plug wire from the spark plug. So this motor is a Honda motor, and the spark plug is right here on the front. So we're going to want to unplug that, and we're just going to tuck it out of the way. The reason we're doing this is to make sure when we're underneath and that blade spins, it could potentially start up on its own just by us turning the blade. So this would spin the crank and could fire the motor. So by us disconnecting the spark plug, there's no fire, no combustion. Now for the next step is determining which way you're going to tilt your mower. A lot of people will tilt their mower to one side or the other and don't know the difference between which one you're doing. So on this motor, the air filter box is right here, and right here on the bottom is where the carburetor is. On this side here is the muffler. You always want to tilt the mower to the carburetor side, never to the muffler side, because engine oil could actually leak through and come out of the mower. Now, when you tilt to the carburetor side, you don't have to worry about that problem. Now, the easiest way to tilt your mower is straight back, but the problem with this is you don't have very much room to work underneath of it, and a lot of mowers will just fall back down, so you would need something to hold it down, and it just doesn't work out that well. And I'll show you what I mean right here. So with this mower, tilting it straight back doesn't stay. So I would need a way to hold that down, and also the angle at which you have to work is a lot worse than if it was just straight up and down sideways. So we are going to tilt the mower to the side that isn't the muffler side, the side that is the carburetor side. But before you do that, the very biggest thing you want to do is put that motor at top dead center. The reason we're doing this is to prevent the motor from possibly hydrolocking. Now when we put that motor at top dead center, those valves are going to be closed and there's not going to be any space above the piston for any oil to seep in there and hydrolock the motor. So the way we do that is by always having the spark plug unplugged first. We're going to tuck it back here out of the way. And then we are going to grab a hold of the motor to start it like we normally would. And when we find the point of the most resistance, we know that piston has reached the top. And we're going to leave it right there. And then we can tip it on its side and we can do what we need to do. Now you want to pull very slow until you reach that point. Oh, see, I had it right there. Right there. You'll feel that tug, and now you know your motor is at top dead center. Now, this is obviously an extra step. It's often overlooked, but this ensures that you don't have to worry about any problems with your motor. Okay, so now the motor's at top dead center, and I'm going to go ahead and flip it up onto its side, making sure that the carburetor side is down and the muffler side is up. Now, this is also a good point to clean out any grass that might be caked up to the bottom of your mower. If you have a drywall mud knife or a putty knife or a scraping tool, those work perfectly. Anything to just clean any of that caked up grass from underneath your mulching deck. All right, guys, now that we're down on the ground, we can go ahead and remove the blade. And to do that, we're going to need a socket or a wrench, and then just a block of wood. This is just a landscape timber scrap I have laying around. We're going to use this landscape timber to chuck the blade so the blade can't spin. And then we'll use our socket to remove the bolt, and then the blade will come off. Now, if like this mower, your bolt goes through, use this point to notate which side faces up towards the deck and which side faces down towards the ground. You can mark it with a knife inside here so you always know which side is which, or you can just know that the sail side of the blade always faces towards the deck and the sharp edge of the blade faces down towards the ground. All right, guys, I'm over in my other shed that has a vise in it so I can sharpen this. You're going to need a few things for this process. I use a grinder with a flap disc. We're not using a cutting disc. We're just sanding the blade. We're not cutting it. And we want to follow the factory angle on the blade. Now, you can get sharpening stones that go onto the end of your drill, which you can trace up and down. But some of those are going to have different angles than the blade, and you're going to be cutting a different angle into the blade. Now, if you want to take your blade sharper, that's fine. It's just not going to last as long. A dull blade isn't going to cut well. A sharp blade will cut initially really well and then dull out extremely fast. So I just stick with the factory angle on the blade, run the flap disc up and down, clean it up, and then I'll hit the underside to make sure there's no jagged edges, no burrs sticking out, no sharp spots, and then inspect, balance, repeat if necessary, take any of those little nicks out, and then that's it. Clear glasses. I will spin it around. Now be careful because that's going to be hot. That's why I wear the gloves. You don't want the blade getting too hot because it can lose its hardness and also it can warp. If it gets too hot when you're brand new at doing this, you can take a bucket of water and dip it in the water to cool it off. All right, and there you go. Nice clean edge on both sides. Now we'll put it on the balancer, make sure we're balanced, and go from there. As you can tell, this blade is in need of balancing. So we're gonna note which side is hanging lower, and that's the side we need to take more of so it balances out the other side. All right, there we go. Now the blade is balanced and ready to go back onto the mower. All right, so now we're just going to reverse the process to get it back onto the mower. Make sure we notate which end is going up towards the deck, which end is facing down towards the ground. So we'll get our orientation right with the blade. We know this side's going up, this side down. We'll feed our bolt through and get it all lined up onto the mower. The last tool you will need will be a torque wrench. You'll need to pull up your owner's manual, find out what the torque rating of this bolt should be, set it, and that's it until springtime. All right, now we have the mower set back right. We can plug the spark plug wire back in, and it's good to go. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Appreciate you taking the time to watch. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I hope you see how easy it is to do this. This will take you all of 20-30 minutes tops. Do it twice a year as needed. Once in the spring, once in the fall, unless something happens to your blade where you need to do it sooner. Get a second blade to keep on hand just in case. And that's it. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Like, share, subscribe. Drop a comment down below. See you on the next one.